Hey, it's Matt, your average gamer, and for this one, we're going to be covering 5 different awesome mage builds that you can do on 1.09.1. I wanted to do a highlight for mages. This is all incredibly powerful stuff that can make the game a lot easier and crush bosses with ease. First one I wanted to start with was the one that I highlighted yesterday, and that is Night Comet. Night Comet is ridiculously overpowered, and when you add buffs, which are now working again on 1.09.1, you can destroy the majority of bosses in the game within seconds. It is that good, it has incredible range, and it can't be dodged. Majority of the footage here, by the way, is New Game Plus 7. As always, I generally play on New Game Plus 7. Most of my characters are past that point now, or at least at max scaling. I wanted to state real quick, by the way, too, if you're not on the Discord, definitely be sure to join that. There's a ton of people on that, and if you're not subbed, now's the time to sub. We're going to be doing constant Elden Ring content. Let's get into equipment for this awesome build. A mix of things for yesterday, but generally speaking, you're going to want to use 2 Staves of Loss. You want plus 25 for the one that you're casting with. Any seal will do for buffs with Golden Vow and Hellish Brewery. We have the Black Dumpling and Spellblade set on, Graven Mask Talisman, Ritual Swords Talisman, Godfrey Icon because this is charged, Magic Scorpion Charm, and then the magic tier. Then you can throw something in like the bubble tier, the defense tier, or you can even use the faith tier to save you 10 levels if you want to do buffs. This was done on my mage character, which is level 200. If you want to do this around 150, generally speaking, you're going to want at least 23 faith and then the faith tier, and that'll save you 10 levels, so you only need 23 faith, and then 60 intelligence, and you will get massive damage out of Night Comet. This is completely doable at 150 if you're staying in the meta range. Night Comet really does absolute destruction. It's insane how much damage you're going to get out of that. And speaking of crazy amounts of damage, the Death's Poker buffed up build is next, and this is also crazy levels of damage. And for Death's Poker, we added a whole bunch of buffs to it. Now, the Jellyfish Shield on the back is the only 20% you'll lose because they did fix that bug, so you can't take advantage of that. Now, however, you can do all the other buffs and still get massive damage. I prefer the Trail, which for me is left trigger and then RB, and then if you do left trigger and then RT, right trigger, you will be able to do the Explosion, which is also good damage. The Trail does better damage in general, but the Explosion is a nice follow-up, and the fact that you can do both of those for massive damage on Death's Poker shows how truly good this weapon is. And of course, even with that D, it scales primarily with intelligence, pretty much all with intelligence on the unique Ash of War, making it an excellent mage's sidearm. This is no doubt an excellent choice for you if you're a mage and you're looking for a sidearm or a mage build in general. Death's Poker is great. Let's get into equipment. For equipment, we have Death's Poker plus 10, and then we were using any staff and any seal. We had the Black Dumpling if you proc that for an extra 10%. The Spellblade set, by the way, will boost this by a total of 8%. We have the Shard of Alexander. We had the Kindred of Rot's Exaltation because we were poison proccing it. We had the Red Feather Brand Sword because we were low health proccing this too for massive damage. We had the Magic Scorpion Charm and then the Magic tier, and you can throw in something like the Faith tier if you need it for buffs as well. And let's get into stats. Stats, you want to prioritize intelligence. Again, the fact that Death's Poker has the D in scaling can be very, very misleading. I've said that on my channel before. However, the unique Ash of War that it has, it's just primary intelligence. It's almost all, it's possibly even all intelligence. So it's just pulling that from your intelligence stat, regardless of the D that's on the weapon. So you can pretty much ignore the dex, go for minimum dex, high intelligence. You'll get massive damage. Next up, speaking of massive damage, Comet Azur, which does incredible damage and can be buffed even more again. Comet Azur is absolutely amazing. I've seen some people put this on tier lists where they have it lower because you have to stand in the same spot and blah, blah, blah. But the truth is, as long as you're able to set it up in time, it just does absolute destruction as far as damage goes. And the damage is almost unmatched with anything else in the game. And once you get good at setting it up, there's so many of the bosses in the game can be taken down with ease with the Comet Azur setup, essentially because of the range and the incredible damage it has, that by the time the boss is even coming near you or getting towards you, it's going to be obliterated before then. Let's get into equipment. For equipment, we have Lucett's Staff. I prefer plus 10 if you're just going for the intelligence part of it. And then we have the Jellyfish Shield. We have Azur's Glintstone Crown on, which will boost Comet Azur. Graven Skull Talisman, Graven Mask Talisman, Ritual Swords Talisman, Magic Scorpion Charm. Then we have the Magic tier, and then you need that Infinite FP tier to make use of Comet Azur. And this is my exact Comet Azur setup to destroy the majority of bosses in the game with ease. To take advantage of Comet Azur, you're going to want to try to get to 80 intelligence, but if you just have the minimum requirements for Comet Azur, which is 60 intelligence, you could still do absolute massive damage with it. There's no question. Again, it's one of the best spells in the game, and if you combine it with Terra Magica and the Jellyfish Shield, that alone, especially using Lucette's Staff, which has great pure intelligence scaling, you'll be able to destroy almost all the bosses in the game within a matter of seconds. It's that good. Next up is a cool mage sidearm and one of the best mage weapons in the game in the Darkmoon Greatsword, and it's also one of the most FP friendly weapons in the entire game, given the fact that when you raise your sword up to be able to use those beams, it will last a minute at a cost of not much FP at all. It is fantastic as a sidearm weapon and as a main weapon because it's good too. Each beam does magic damage, pure magic damage, so it can be boosted by Terra Magica, but more important to the point there is it does a little bit of frost damage. I guess that's not the most important part. The most important part is it does a lot of stance damage, 30-something stance damage per beam, which allows you to put constant pressure on bosses knowing that you can get in those stance breaks. This is a great mage sidearm and an awesome weapon in general. Let's get into equipment. For equipment, we have the Darkmoon Greatsword plus 10. Any staff and any seal will do. The Spellblade set will boost this. Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman. Godfrey Icon will boost the charge beams. Shard of Alexander will boost this as well. Magic Scorpion Charm. And then you're going to want the Magic tier. And then something like the Faith tier if you want to do buffs. Or the Defense tier. Those are both great options, and as far as stats go, you want to get your intelligence as high as possible, and then you can even go for the minimum strength requirements, because if you're using that unique Ash of War, again, it's going to scale primarily from your intelligence stat because it's pure magic damage, so the higher the better, and with buffs and stuff, you're going to get a lot of damage out of the Darkmoon Greatsword. It is a fantastic weapon. It is a great complement to a mage and something you should definitely utilize. Again, it's so FP friendly too. And next up is Wing of Astel, which has a really cool, unique Ash of War that does a lot of damage and can absolutely destroy larger targets. If you haven't picked up the Wing of Astel, as far as the weapon itself goes, it really is truly a great sidearm for a mage, and then you get that cool, unique Ash of War in Nebula. As you're going to see here, Radahn takes extra gravity damage, but the majority of bosses, especially the bigger bosses in the game, this Ash of War can absolutely chew through their HP. Once again, everything that we showed here today can be boosted by Terra Magica, and since Radahn is a larger target and he does take, as I mentioned, increased gravity damage, he's going to take massive damage in general from it, and it's just going to be able to hit him hard. It hits large targets really hard, takes advantage of your intelligence stat, can be boosted, as I mentioned, from Terra Magica, and now you can buff this like crazy too. It really is that good. It can definitely work well against small targets, even better against large targets. Let's get into equipment. For the Wing of Astel build, we have the Wing of Astel plus 10. Any seal will do. The Spellblade set, again, will boost this as it boosts all magic Ash of Wars. We have the Ritual Swords Talisman, Magic Scorpion Charm. Shard of Alexander will boost this too. We have the Dragon Crest Great Shield Talisman for some defense. And then we have the Magic tier, and then something like the Faith tier as well. All the stats were similar, and once again, you can do this at 150 very easily. Get to 60 intelligence, the minimum stats on the weapon, and then if you go for 23 faith and then use the faith tier, you can end up getting to 33 faith, and that way you can boost this with Golden Vow, Howl of Shabriri, and you can take advantage of that awesome weapon art Nebula and do substantial amount of damage to the majority of bosses in the game. I know the Wing of Astel can be a little bit of a pain to get, but it's worth getting. If you're a mage, this is a very light, powerful sidearm that's going to take advantage of your intelligence stat to do a substantial amount of damage. It's something you're going to want to pick up for sure if you're running a mage character. This video was helpful. This was a little summary video as we head into the weekend because a lot of people have been asking me about different mage stuff, and these are really powerful builds you can use on 1.09.1, and you can buff everything again with faith buffs, thankfully, so you can do really good damage with these and really just go through the majority of bosses with ease. If you're not on the Discord, definitely be sure to join it. There's over 400 people there now. I started a Patreon too if you want to support the channel even further. And if you're not subbed, definitely be sure to sub. There's a ton of awesome builds on my channel. Be sure to check all those out. Thanks for watching, and as always, I will catch you guys there.